So I represent Crowd for Angels. It's a regulated crowdfunding platform in London. We fund companies via equity and debt, but we're also looking to ICOs in the future. I think the environment, the ecosystem around cryptocurrency and blockchain will strengthen and grow. There's lots of the big companies now looking to integrate and interact with the ecosystem. And I think, the young companies in the space will build up to a productive and positive future. Crypto's here to stay, blockchain's here to stay, and in the next 20 years, cash is gone. So there is an age gap, but I think that's a good thing. I mean, for a long time, we didn't utilize our young people. The sort of teens and 20-year-olds haven't been utilized, and they've created this great industry now that they can get involved in, look at finance, and look how it impacts their day-to-day life. It's one of them industries that there is a gap, but I think in the next couple of years we'll see a huge change in the way it's utilized, and we'll see more and more ordinary people coming on board and using crypto, probably without even realizing it. For me personally, if I was looking to invest in a more long-term project, I'd look for something either with an asset backing, like a bond, similar to what we're offering, or a company that's established, so something that's a couple of years old, it's got a model, it's revenue generating, and now it's seeking to grow, rather than looking what I would call the beer mat idea, which is simply a business plan, a great idea, and they just want to raise capital to get that idea started.
Basically what we do is to decentralize the digital advertising sector, because we involve a community of 200,000 people on social network in the creation of contents that contain an advertising message for brands. The most important aspect is the decentralization and the thing that is bringing transparency into business. Indeed, we are integrating the blockchain into our business that has been already validated, because now it will become more transparent for clients to understand where their digital spending will go. It is more interesting for young people because it provides access to financial markets in a more easy way. So there are many access to the crypto markets. Everyone can access that, and this is valuable because it becomes more democratic. Not just big ways or institutionals have access to these kind of markets, but also normal people that have that like to try for the first time to do something or trading. Is a long-term vision. What we do is to expand the business abroad and become a multinational company. So now our community counts 200,000 people active in Italy and in Spain, but by the next 2 to 3 years they will become 20 millions all over the world. In this way, we believe that those that believe in our project and want to contribute to our ICO will have to see the results not only in the near term, because we will provide different results in the near term, but also especially in the long term. In 2020, if I had the crystal ball, I would use it, but I think that expectation slightly reduced in this year, in this month, because last month has been not so nice for the market. I wish that we'll find a stability.
We run a crypto banking solution, so a complete pack that we call Banking in a Box to do transaction management with cryptocurrencies, and we also have a token factory. So it's a complete pack for tokenization and use in your daily life the cryptocurrencies. You can do this kind of transactions much faster, safer, with low price and in a much more convenient way. So for example, if you would like to proceed international payments with the same currency, cash out your cryptos with Visa ATMs and so on. So you have people are using with the concept of banks. But when you talk about crypto bank, seeing something different, something that is far away from you. But when we introduce it, like comparing as a normal bank, so we are actually trying to connect the normal kind of financial services, the standard ones, with the crypto services, which is very similar in the way that when you go to a bar and buy a coffee, for example, and you pay with your debit card, the procedure will be pretty much the same. But instead of doing with fiat, now you're using crypto. And the same for an online shop, or the same for an ATM with Weasel. The idea is to do exactly the same, but using cryptocurrencies, using blockchain. So that's why we say that it's a global blockchain, local presence. So we bring it closer to you, to your reality, to your daily life. If you join this revolution right now, for sure you will collect some benefits very soon. Then it will be less volatile in the sense that once that you have more users, if some people sell or buy it, it probably the value will change a little bit less. I mean, comparing with what is happening right now, in one day or two, you have a huge variation. So it will be very, very positive. About the price, I think we only will know it when we will be a bit closer to the maximum supply to be reached. So, I mean, I don't want to try to guess a value, but the point will be that once that we reach the final value, probably we can start to do transactions for like daily things with specific smaller amounts. So then you could go to a restaurant and pay with Bitcoins and more or less have a real idea how much is it going to cost in Bitcoin. So for sure we'll be more stable.
We are just founding a company, a digital agency, which is helping ICOs to launch from the idea to the final working product, and also helping with the marketing, the branding, the website. The most important benefit that the blockchain technology gives to the world is transparency. I believe that nowadays, with the globalization, the fast globalization rates and everything that's happened politically, socially, we just need to be more transparent with each other, because we just need to collaborate more, and we need to, I don't know, to better communicate one with each other, and also have transparency in our work, have transparency in our assets, in our financial assets.
The technology speaks for itself. It's first of all the transparency and the decentralization, and the millennials are working together. So it's kind of a community, be a part of the new world.
Millennials, from my point of view, are mostly interested in cryptocurrency and blockchain because they are tech savvy and they understand more what happens. If I were to talk from a personal point of view, like when I talked with my parents first about cryptocurrency, I have started doing, they were like, wow, and you're giving your mind to the internet, you're putting your money there, and what's happening? You don't hold it in your wallet anymore, like your physical wallet. I think that older age people are a little bit afraid of the technology. They don't understand well how computers work, how the wallets work, how the ledgers work, and what's really happening with these assets. They don't really have in their personal bank account as they are used to do. We can just say that some are here in the cryptocurrency world just to flip some big bucks. The others are there for the long-term investments. I had everyone is a mix between these two, because we must recognize everyone is here for a quick buck because we have the opportunity. But the ones who believe in blockchain and who believe in this technology are the ones who will bring it to the mass adoption, who will believe in everything that's happening with this new industry.
The thing is, you create the hype with the flippers, and you create the sustainability with the investors.
We're a holding company that invests in a number of blockchain-related technologies. The one I'm speaking at the conference about, AI Coin, which is a collective investment program to allow to democratize the investment process. The problem has always been historically that once you expanded the number of people beyond your immediate circle, trust became an issue. With blockchain technologies, you can overcome that hurdle. I think once the benefits are shown, I mean, I'm a classic example of how the older generation can also see the benefits of that kind of ecosystem and how it can be used to everyone's benefit, to be honest. What I found is the majority of players are interested in the ecosystem and seeing what we can do with it, seeing how we can push the boundaries. I believe that will continue for a number of years, and the reason is it's an emerging asset class. class, and any emerging asset class is volatile. It's volatile because people are trying to establish new value for it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. What it does do is weed out the goods currencies from the ones that are not really. It has tended to attract a group of people that don't care about the technology, they care about how much is going up. People are investing for that reason. I think that's a dangerous new element to the ecosystem. Not because they're bad people, but simply because they're perhaps investing for the wrong reason. As the market turns, they could just as easily get out. It leads to a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I don't believe for a second that a central bank will allow the loss of control of their own money supply. National cryptocurrencies will always be a centralized form of cryptocurrency. The distribution of those coins will be absolutely under central bank control. Look at more areas rather than specific coins. But the thing that has really come to the fore over the last 6 months is companies working in the fields of artificial intelligence, which is my personal interest as well. So for me, as a business area, that's the area that I'm looking at. Both there are a couple of ICOs out there, but also a lot of startup companies, and that's where a lot of our focus is.
Hi, my name is Martin Sliverts. I'm a co-founder of Debtum Network. It's actually a finance ecosystem for business loans. But today, here in Geneva, I'm going to talk about self-regulation for ICOs and for us as a crypto community. I think it's basically adoption. As with anything that is new, like it was like 25, 30 years ago with internet, what we need is basically many cases that we start. Like you can see here, like a bunch of different solutions. I guarantee that 90% or maybe 99% of them will not survive until like in 5 years, but that's what we need. We need that push to bring that technology to mainstream, and then it will just take off. As soon as it's mainstream, it will like just take off, and it can influence every day of our lives, everything that we do. So it really includes more people. And maybe like here in Geneva in Switzerland, it's like a banking center, right? And maybe we don't think about that. In many places of the world, like South America, Southeast Asia, Africa, there are so many people that are not bankable. And blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, they allow them to have some feeling of that investment, of being banked, on getting value basically stored somewhere, right? How you differentiate between those that actually want to be part of it because it will solve a real problem, or just want to have this pump and dump schema, right? Like invest quickly and quickly dump it and make profit. If you want to stay out and you don't want to be dealing with such that are really dump fast, you just don't take their contributions or don't do any special conditions for their contributions, right? There are people out there that have been working with more and more funds, and they actually are creating, how to say, a database. Like these guys are holders, these are strategic investors in finance, in energy, in gaming. But these guys they are flippers. They are like, if you don't want to be flipped, like stay out of it. I think that's what we need to have, like the self-regulation, more data, and following that, right? I think that there are countries taking steps. Say the same Bank of Lithuania, for example, they are trying to implement blockchain on a global level, on national level, to make sure that maybe in a longer period of time, it's possible to use it as some technologies that accounts for all your income, and then it will be taxable. But it takes time. I don't believe it will happen in 2018. What I can tell you is that whenever you look out for any coin, you should look out for a team. You should look out for an MVP or an exactly working demo, that there is something happening. You should look if it's really scalable, if it's really possible to do what the team promises, and you should always look out if it's not over pumped in a way that if the money they want to raise is decent to what they want to do. Because as always with all things, the smaller the scale in the beginning, the more easier it is for that project or that value of good to increase, right? So that's like high-level things that you need to look out, but I would suggest that you make your own contribution and investment decisions and be safe.
Basically, we are a multi-asset peer-to-peer trading platform that will allow you to trade stocks, currencies, commodities, and other asset classes. Other exchanges and other platforms don't allow you to trade other asset classes. You're trading mostly cryptocurrencies, whereas on our exchange you'll be able to trade FX, CFDs, like different gold, silver, and other asset classes basically through our coin. So ThinkCoin is part of the Trade Connect network, which will be launched after the ICO. Through that, you'll be able to trade Apple or Google, other asset classes that you wouldn't be able to trade on other exchanges. I mean, if you go to a traditional brokerage, you can trade that, but you're going to pay a higher transaction cost. Whereas the benefit that someone that's holding ThinkCoin is that they're not going to pay the same sort of fees that they would through other exchanges. That when someone is investing, that they're not investing for a short-term gain. Ultimately, we want to protect the price of the token. If they're only looking to buy and then sell the token right after it lists, that doesn't really benefit anyone. That doesn't benefit the token economy at all. It's important that we attract investors that are looking to invest, buy the coin at an early stage so that they can benefit from the ecosystem that we're developing. I think, assuming that there's more technology develops around Bitcoin, and some of the issues around Bitcoin are addressed, and it becomes a more acceptable form of payment, the value of Bitcoin could possibly continue to increase. But that really is dependent on how the technology develops. It could be that other cryptocurrencies take over Bitcoin based on how transaction speed and usability in the everyday system.
Millennials and younger people are attracted to it simply because they are used to intangibles, in the sense that people from our parents' generation, they were used to holding a photo on the camera. Nowadays, people never hold a photo in their hand, and their camera is their phone, and their album is their social network. So they're used to it. They're used to not dealing in cash. They're used to they're used to an intangible life. It's easier for them to understand the value of a cryptocurrency which they can never tangibly hold in their hand. Look, ultimately, it comes down to personality. As an ICO provider, when you start to have initial meetings with clients, when you start probing about their white paper, how detailed is it? How much thought have they put into their token model? Like everything in this world, something that was built for a good purpose, for a benign purpose, can be used for a malicious purpose. But overall, there is no bad thing in having more transparency and accountability in governance. Currently, governments, with a few exceptions, are very opaque. What I would like to see more than more transparency in people paying their taxes is more transparency in how the government uses the taxes they collect from people. As another parallel, the same way as you have different languages and different programming languages for which are best adapted to different tasks, you're going to have different blockchain protocols which are best adapted for different applications. So yes, Bitcoin might, and there's a good chance that Bitcoin will still be the... So basically, they would be don't attempt to raise too much money. Small ICOs perform better on the aftermarket than large ones. Don't promise what you can't deliver. Be honest. And bear in mind that we are currently self-regulated, and that self-regulation is a double-edged sword, and that it is incumbent on all of us to make sure that we don't ruin it. We are not the cause for forcing regulators to step in and put in very onerous regulations that will stifle innovation.
We are creating blockchain platform and crowdfunding platform for music and TV fans all over the world. This name is Prime Star, blockchain decentralized platform. Everyone now can invest in Hollywood films with high financial potential. Every founder can create new projects, can solve a lot of problems. Now banks didn't give them money to solve it. Everyone can join projects all over the world and to solve important ecological problems, financial problems. Also, it can be gambling if you want. In our project, they can invest in films with high potential. So it will be security token according to regulation of Singapore. It depends of everyone what they want. They want to communicate or they want to invest.
You have 4 different types of contests to enter. You have commodities, currencies, stocks, and cryptocurrencies. Okay? Some contests can combine a few of the assets together. Once you enter a contest, you receive 100,000 virtual dollars. Now you need to build your own portfolio with those 100,000 virtual in a very intuitive way. For example, if you think Apple stock is going to go up in the next 12 hours, invest, for example, $20,000. If you think Bitcoin is going to drop in the next 12 hours, you will invest on it going to drop, let's say, $30,000. Every user provides his portfolio. By the end of the contest, the user that created the biggest return on his portfolio is going to be ranked number 1, and prizes are delivered. But the important thing is, we want to attract traders and users from all over the place. What I mean is, I want to attract forex traders to come play on currency contests. We want to attract the stocks traders to come play on stock contests and basically provide them with a safe, transparent, and provably fair way for them to make money online from home. Our token is deflationary. As popular the system gets, as more users come and play, the bigger the deflation is going to be, and the value is going to go up as long as we go on. From every contest, holding fund tokens, 0.5% is burnt automatically. Meaning, as long as the platform gains traction, the value is going to go up and up and up. We believe that our official launch, that will be in June, will allow users or investors to really capitalize on their investment as fast as possible. Because we believe that in June, when we'll bring thousands of users to the platform and they're all looking to buy our token, that's when investors can really get their investment back quick as possible. So by now, till June, we have our system working. You cannot deposit your own funds yet, but you can come in, play, make money, and this is how we build our hype and buzz. If you're smart, if you're holding fund tokens, they like to say hodl, hodl.